Doing good.
How is life in Austin?
Very good, thanks. Yeah, everything's going good.
You headed back there, when you released your previous album, and you're kind of back up in Canada for a while, but you got your big start, which we'll get into, was down in Austin. But you are Canadian, so you fit kind of the idea of my little video pods of Canadian guitar players. It started with I wanted like really local guys, and then I kind of expanded, and kind of lucky for me, you're my second Canadian Austinite, right? I had Gordie Johnson on maybe about 4 or 5 months ago.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was cool. Let's just kick off, why you're doing interviews now, which is great because you've got a new album that you literally just released, I think, last week called Pinky Blues, right?
Yeah, Pinky's Blues. That's Pinky right there. The guitar.
That's it. I've listened to this, to your latest CD. It's amazing. Like, it is real blues. Like, I think the takeaway from when I listened to it is like damn authentic. Like, it's live. It's really roomy sounding. It's just stuff you don't. It's funny. You just don't hear that anymore. Because everybody who does blues, I think, tries to it's old traditional music. I gotta put a spin on it to make it more modern. But I think you kept to the core of what the blues mean. That's kind of what you do. You've been doing that for a long time. But the question I got, because I've listened to some other interviews doing some research, that it was all live, right? Like there was no overdubbing?
Yeah, it was live. And when we say live, it's live off the floor in the studio. So we are in the studio. It's not like a gig, but we're playing like a gig in essence. Like it's all happening at once. We're playing at once. What you're hearing is a full take of a song because we were all in one room, and you actually couldn't overdub or take anything away or put anything in it almost. So that's what you're hearing. And thank you for saying that about it being a blues record, because
it's definitely a blues record.
Yeah, we're very proud of that fact. I mean, I am a traditionalist, but I also believe there's things that sort of quantify playing blues is you should have some blues in your repertoire. So thank you.
I find it hard to believe after listening to it that you cut the vocals and the guitar, like you did it like you were playing a gig.
Yeah.
And that's what's on the CD. Like you didn't go back and redo the vocals.
No, and that's almost unheard of. I mean, even on other albums, except the Ice Queen, we have a lot of live vocals too. But most of my other albums, we've overdubbed vocals. That's very common.
That's what you do, yeah.
That's what people do, right? So, no, we did it all live in one room. And if you go to my YouTube channel at Sue Foley Official, there's a Pinky's Blues session video, a short video I put out to show exactly how we were all set up, and it really shows. There was some isolation, but it's not really.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm sitting here going like, yeah, because you couldn't go back because you were Chris Layton was like 5 feet away from your vocal mic.
Exactly.
So you couldn't go back and redo vocals because there's so much bleed everywhere. So anyway, kudos to you. I mean, you're a real pro and you're damn good at what you do because the guitar parts, like, let's take a song. You got some originals and then you did a slew of covers, but like deep covers, like none of this Stormy Monday or I Can't Quit You, Babe, or, I'd Rather Go Blind or something. That's not on these. These are like covers deep, But, Dallas Man, which was a tune you wrote, and it's got a cool kind of open string sounding, picking kind of riff, and you're playing that through while singing. And it's like solid. Like if you'd sit there and listen, I'm sorry if I'm kind of geeking out on this, but if you kind of focus, and you try to tune out the vocals and you're just listening to the guitar, it's like dead on. the riffs. I don't know. Like I find, I know I saw the video and I believe you. Why would you lie? But it's that good that it's hard to believe that you did that live.
Wow, thank you. Yes, we did, and that's what we do. And you also have to credit the other musicians, because when you're doing a session like that, everybody on board. There was only 5 of us in the studio, 3 in the band, and then our producer Mike Flanagan and our engineer, and so everybody's kind of got to be on the same page with that. And
right.
So it's definitely a group.
Chris Layton is your drummer. He was your drummer on your last album too, and you've been playing together for a while now. But I mean, geez, he's really the king of shuffles. I mean,
he really is. He's like. If you want to know how to play Texas blues shuffle or blues rock or that style, Chris is definitely the guy.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I only heard like 2 tunes that had organ on it. Yeah,
just 2. So Mike Flanagan, our producer, is a B3 player, and he jumped in on a couple of tunes, but mostly he laid out and really wanted the guitar to be the star.
No, it's good. It's good. Like, so Chris, who's obviously he was with Double Trouble, played with Stevie Ray Vaughan, arguably maybe the best guitar player, this planet's ever heard. And the interesting thing for me, I was a big Stevie fan, like everybody, we're like the same age. So it's, that's what got us hooked, is hearing Stevie Ray Vaughan. That was like the holy cow. But he overshadowed everybody because the focus was on Stevie, right? And to me, I didn't realize how good of a drummer Chris was until like later, like Storyville or Archangels or stuff like that. But he really shines on this album. Like, his drum sounds were killer on this.
They really were. And that's also the live thing, right? Because the drums are bleeding into the vocal mic. So you're catching all these room mics and instrument mics, but they all have all the instruments in them. So when Chris Bell was mixing, he had to really finesse how much is coming out of everything, So
that's true.
And of course, Chris also hits really hard.
Oh, okay.
And it's a big room, so it was a big sound in general. Yeah.
Oh, this album definitely passes the car test. Like I had it in the car at my car goes to 60.
I love that.
and it's the beginning of Southern Man, which is another original tune on there. Like that, because that beat's got the toms going in there, and boy, it rattles the car. The sounds are great. And then, of course, like you said, guitar players out there, check out Sue Foley's YouTube page, because there's like a 6 or 7 minute rig rundown video on this record. And I think for us guitar players who we get very consumed in gear, this album is kind of like the definition of what a guitar is supposed to sound like. Like I have he's married to my cousin. Anyway, Sebastian Agnello. I don't know if you know him. He used to run an open mic at the Black Swan, Toronto. I'm hoping he gets it going again. But anyway, he used to always joke, if I ever, when you go through that phase of posting your pedal boards on social media, and his comment was always the same. It was, which one makes it sound like a guitar? That's, but this album, that's like, I listened to it and it's like, oh shit, that's what a guitar is supposed to sound like. Your chain is like, it's that guitar that you got beside you going through a basement, and not a vintage basement, a reissue basement.
Yeah.
It sounds so good.
It's a great combination, first of all, Telecasters for a basement.
Yeah.
So you can't really go wrong if both instruments are in good working order. Then the rest is up to you, I think.
Yeah, obviously your skill in there. But it was cool that you did that video, because when I listened to it, I'm like, oh, wow, she must have the mics, some far away mics from that amp, because it just feels so live and so airy and just, full, And then, you had a couple close mics. You had one in the back, which was cool. And then you had a room mic for your amp, and then you were saying in the video, your vocal mics, and the drums were just over, so those overheads are probably picking up your guitar, and it's just the magic of all that. It sounds, for a Telecaster, it sounds so thick and wide. It's really good.
Thank you.
You must be pleased with it.
Oh yeah, very happy with the guitar sounds. They really, they did a great job catching everything off the floor like that. I'm really happy.
Before you guys entered the studio, did you have all the songs you wanted to do, or did you do some more and you picked away at it?
We mostly had, I had a working list, and I just kind of worked it out myself, and then get in the studio and just show the guys. I'm not even sure I showed them the songs before the sessions. So we would have been doing that right before the tune, saying, hey, this is how it goes. Or if it was a cover, play them the original if I thought they wanted to hear it. But if not, to just say this is the sort of the vibe of it, and away we went. Yeah.
Jimmy Vaughn he was on one song, right? Hurricane Girl?
Yes, he just jumped in on some rhythm guitar on that.
I read that he was on it, so I'm like trying to trick myself, right? So he didn't play any lead on that song, right? Yeah. Okay. I figured it was you, because it was like, there's similarities. Like, I think you probably were influenced by Jimmy.
Oh, big time. I'm very influenced by Jimmy. I go see him play all the time. I'm like a little sponge at his shows. I go to every show I can. And
awesome.
But I don't really feel like I sound like him all that much. There's things I pick up from him that are more like sort of essential approaches to guitar, and the things he does that are very Jimmy, and like, just the way he hits the note. He hits his notes very clean. They're very round and formed well. You know what I mean? Like his tone, talk about tone. He's the king of tone, really. And he plays clean and flat.
Well, I think the similarities are, because we'll get it. This is a guitar channel, so cool. You play with a thumb pick most of the time. I do. Not all the time, but most of the time. Yes, so do I. I don't know, what kind do you use?
I use the Golden Gates.
Oh, I used to use those. I found them. They're
really thick.
They're big. Yeah, they're thick.
They're big, but this is the small size, and I have smaller hands, so these small ones. But they last forever. These things.
Yeah, they are a thicker plastic or whatever they're made out of. Yeah.
They are indestructible. I just keep them.
Okay, maybe I'll try them back. For some reason, I felt them kind of big, so I ended up going with the Fred Kelly ones, but not like the speed pick. It looks like a regular one, right?
Right.
But like you said, yours are more indestructible. I find these, as soon as I take them out of the pack, the pick part is a little too long, and then after a week of playing, it's just right, and then after 2 weeks of playing, it's too short. So I got like a week of life on this thing where it's just the way I want it, It's got to be incredible for you, like I said, and everybody's heroes, from our generation is probably Stevie Ray Vaughan, and you're playing with his brother, and you're playing with Stevie's drummer. Like, you got to be pinching yourself all the time. Yeah,
I'm very happy. I'm really happy, and I love playing music with those guys. They're just really special. So
your 2018 album, the Ice Queen, I got it written down here. Oh yeah, Lucky Ones, and it was you sang it with Jimmy, and I was wondering, was that an original, and is that kind of just like your life, one of the Lucky Ones?
It is an original, and it is a sort of semi-autobiographical, and that was on the Ice Queen. That also made it onto Jimmy's new box set, The Story. So cool. He released like a whole legacy box set, basically, and that song got on there. So I was very grateful about that. But yeah.
Yeah, because I listened to the lyrics on that one. I'm going, she can sing that. That was pretty cool.
It mentions Canada.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I did hear that on there. So listen, we came out of a pandemic. Lockdown's over. You're kind of going 100 miles an hour now. You got the album released, and you've been putting out really pro videos. You released them for Southern Man, Dallas Man, and Hurricane Girl. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about the experience of putting those videos, because they got a similar vibe. It's kind of like a cool retro kind of a thing. But
yeah, they were done by Tim Hardiman, who's out of Nashville, and he works a lot with the Black Keys, and he does all Dan Auerbach's bands from his label. Like, he does all their videos. We just thought he had a really cool style, and wanted everything to sort of have a cohesive vibe. And we shot them all in Dallas over a couple-day period as well. And so you kind of see some of crossover in some of the scenes, but I think it works because it's all very thematic, you know.
Yeah, no, it's they're really cool, and you know, you're doing a little bit of acting, and you know, it's not, you got some stage scenes in the videos, but you've also got some kind of walking around looking cool with your guitar and stuff. So it's it's well done. It's well done. So congratulations on that, and congratulations on your team. I know you've got you got a great management team around you, and they're just, to me, it looks like you guys are just working like crazy, because you got a calendar of a slew of dates. At the end of the year, we can touch on this. You're doing, because I think you just did it virtually last year. You're doing the Jungle Show.
Yeah.
And so that's right at the end of the year, and that's with Jimmy Vaughn, Billy Gibbons, Chris Layton, and Mike Flanagan. And tell us about that, how that got started, and what are the lucky folks that can attend in for?
Well, that got started about 3 or 4 years ago. Flanagan and Billy Gibbons, they kind of masterminded some sort of super group. They were going to put together some sort of show, and it was right on the heels of this show they had done for B.B. King. I think it was B.B. King was getting inducted into the Austin City Limits Hall of Fame. So they'd done this show, and they did a song. Everybody had to do a B.B. King song, and they decided to do The Jungle, which is a very obscure B.B. King song. He actually had an album called The Jungle. Oh, and so we all got, you know, they were just going to do a show on the heels of that. And I got wind of it, and I said, hey, can I open? And then it turned out I ended up in the band. So
that's cool.
And that was just like, yeah, that's great. That's good with me.
So what's it like standing beside Billy Gibbons on stage? I mean, that's got to be crazy.
Well, the first time I was very nervous, but Billy is super cool and very chill, and makes everybody feel cool. So he does not have a bad attitude. He's got a really great attitude, and he's just very enigmatic. But him and Jimmy together, you know, they're such legends, each of them. They actually have known each other since the late 60s. Like, you know, in the Texas scene. So these guys have this history, you know, and it's really cool to see them together, and just to hear them talking about stuff, and just talking about the old days, or talking about people they played with, or talking about old songs. Like, they'll start to dig up, oh, let's do this Jimmy Reed song. They're like, oh yeah, like they know every song, you know, like they're so deep. And so we get to play some really fun sort of traditional blues that nobody ever played, like not exactly what anybody plays on their show. Yeah. So it's got a life of its own. It's really taken on a life of its own. And I just, when I started, I was, you know, I felt like I was sort of balancing out those two guys, because they're both so strong. Yeah. This, you know, after 4 years of doing it, I feel like I can state my, I can hold my space in the middle of it.
Yeah, you certainly can. So, I mean, is Billy really loud on stage? I don't know.
No, Billy is really quiet on stage.
Oh, okay.
Billy is very mysterious.
Okay.
And he actually plays really quiet. And he doesn't use monitors to sing. But he sounds great. Never misses a note. And his touch is really soft on guitar. Like, he has a huge sound, and he plays very soft. He uses sevens. Yeah,
I know. It's crazy, eh? Have you ever tried his guitar? Does he let you pick it up?
I've noodled around on his guitar a bit. It's just not, you know, it's not the way I set up a guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, how do you even play this? I don't feel anything.
That's crazy. I just figured he was like really loud for some reason.
No, the opposite, because they've been playing with, you know, in-ears for decades, really, and they know how. They don't have any amps on stage.
Yeah. I bet you don't play with in-ears.
Oh no, I don't.
Yeah, I didn't think
I
so.
don't like
Doing
soundtracks.
that whole live thing, no overdubs, like.
I'm of a certain, approach for sure.
Last year's was like a virtual thing, which is still cool, but to be in front of an audience with that group of people and do it again, that's you got to be looking forward to that show.
It's always good to look forward to, and it's always around the holidays, so people are in a good spirit. And I think this year, especially, people will be really ready to party, have some fun.
I guess the reality is you're looking forward to all your shows.
We're looking forward to everything.
Yeah, I think a lot of my viewers are Canadian. You are heading this way. I think you'll correct me here. I got a mind blank. He had the Cadillac Lounge, which he used to play all the time, and I think you're playing his new place, right? In April?
We're playing some theater, the Paradise or something.
Yeah, is that his new? Oh, maybe it's not. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, I don't know if it's his place or if he's just promoting shows there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, that's cool. That's in April. Yeah. So that's great. I think I made a little post today about doing this interview, and one of my friends commented that he's going to be seeing you in April. So he's already bought tickets.
That's great. Well, I can't wait to get back home. I haven't been home in over 2 years. So.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's heartbreaking, but
yeah.
There wasn't really a way, and now that they're opening everything, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, Canada's pretty well fully open now. I mean, it's really just, I guess the only leftovers from the pandemic is just mask wearing, and then all the places, all the bars and theaters and everything like that, you have to prove that you got your 2 vaxes, and then you're good to go. But there's no constraints on capacity or anything like that anymore. So it's great. Live music is back.
Yeah.
On your new album, we covered some of the originals, and like I said, you dug deep into some covers. My personal favorite is "Stop the Teardrops." Maybe you can tell us how you found that song, who did that song. I really enjoyed that one.
Oh, thank you. That's a song by Lavelle White, and she's originally from Houston, and she recorded for a very famous label in the blues circuit called Duke Records. It's where Bobby Bland, so many great artists came out of Duke, out of Houston. It was just a really cool label.
You know, that riff, that little kind of tight picking riff, it sounded to me like the first time I heard it, it sounded like it was something off of Family Style, the Vaughan Brothers album.
Okay.
It had that vibe to it, the way you were playing that riff. Anyway, that one really jumped out at me. And then, of course, and I guess this is a cover too, but Okie Dokie Stomp. So that's it's an instrumental. Man, that's the one that just shows you off as a guitar player like that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's my player, Kate Moth Brown, and we were all big fans of Gates. Back in the day, when I was coming up, I used to see him play all the time. One of my favorite guitar players ever. Yeah, fantastic guitar player, unbelievable guitar player.
Are you playing that like note from his recording, or are you doing your own
thing?
No,
I'm actually, there's a few guitar players that have reworked that song over the years. So the first one was Hollywood Fats. He recorded it, did a great recording of it. And then Ronnie Earl, there's a live version by him. I used to see him do it. It's kind of a pretty well-known blues. I would call it one of those rite of passage blues guitar instrumentals that you should know if you play blues. It's kind of one of those. Like everybody's done the Okie Dokie Stomp in a certain group. So I just do my version.
Excellent. Well, it was done really well. I mean, that's the show off guitar tune for sure. There was a video on your channel that I saw that was really cool, where you talk about how to write like a blues guitar instrumental, and you kind of used Freddie King. I get the Kings mixed up. Freddie King's Hideaway as an example, and so is that kind of like the path you kind of follow most of the time when you're putting together an instrumental?
A lot of times it's a great model to use as Freddie King because he did all those instrumentals and they all did sort of follow a sort of a pattern, He'd have a head. I mean, obviously go into some improvised stuff, but there was usually like a certain turnaround he would use that would sort of define the song. I mean, Hideaway is a good example, and then maybe he would do a couple of sings and then go to a low part. I mean, so yeah, I have used his structure, and it's very solid way to think about it. So it's like, here's the thing: a guitar instrumental doesn't have to be like, and don't excuse my language, but a wake fest, right? It doesn't have to be a giant, exclamation mark. It can just be like, it's these parts, and it's fun, and it's cool, and it goes from one to the other, and it's and over, and it's that's the way I like to think about it.
That's good. It's a song, like
a song.
Just because it doesn't have words, it still should be written like it's got an intro, a verse, a pre-chorus, a chorus. Like you should still think that way,
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Freddie King's the king of that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess in Pinky's Blues, because that's an instrumental, and that's your own. Because I watched that video when you were talking about the Hideaway as a model, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, yeah, just doing that. You kind of did some stuff higher, and then you kind of did stuff on the E and the A string, and so it's pretty cool. There's always that phrase, "Oh, less is more, less is more," and B.B. King with his one note, but you kind of got a little of that, and it really shows on this album that, I don't know, something like you do it a lot. You kind of do a lick where it's just like a 2-note lick, but it's just so big and wide. Like, I don't know. You can make a single note really sing.
Thank you.
So you kind of got that BB thing. Like, it's not a vibrato. It's more of a little bend up, but it's like, and you're holding it, and it just blossoms when you do it. Like, it's a pretty cool thing. I think it's kind of like one of your trademarks, actually, because it.
Thank you. And I actually learned that from Albert Collins and watching Collins, because I mean, when I first saw Albert Collins, it changed my life. And just like you say, that one note. I came out of my first Albert Collins show. I was like, okay, one note. That's all you need. One good note.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about it. You can
flip out and play a gazillion notes, but if you got one good one with a really good tone,
yeah,
and it really burns and it really says everything, that's all you need. That's all you need.
Did you go to the thumb pick because of Johnny Winter?
No, I started on a thumb pick because I was playing country blues, like Memphis Mini stuff, and traditional country blues on acoustic and hollow bodies. And I saw Muddy Waters have the thumb pick too, so I thought that was cool.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I've always played a thumb pick since I was 16.
Oh, nice. Right from like a few years into it. Yeah. You start, and it's like, man, this finger, I can use this finger. Why not? Because all the hybrid pickers, they're kind of just relying on the middle and the ring, right? But it's like we can hold it like a pick, but then we can also use that first finger. So I don't know. I'm sold on the idea.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, we're thumb pickers.
On the same page.
So the album before, which was The Ice Queen, was a bigger production, a lot more instrumentation. You had Billy Gibbons sang on it, Jimmy Vaughn sang on it. You had Chris Layton again on it, and you had Charlie Sexton. He did some background vocals and some slide guitar on it, and then you had a horn section on a tune. What do you prefer? Like, you kind of you did 2 albums back to back, and they're quite different. And which way do you like to do it?
Oh, I like both. They both sort of stand on their own. Yeah. Sorry, I don't have a better answer, but I kind of like both. I think they both stand on their own as far as approach. But I'm enjoying this one a lot, because the nice thing about Pinky's Blues is that if you hear the album and you like this album and you go to my show, you're going to hear it. It sounds exactly the same.
Yeah, you can do these songs the same live.
Exactly the same.
Yeah.
So if you're liking it and you like that approach and you like that vibe, that's what you're going to get right now. And
yeah, that's cool.
I'm having a good time doing that. I mean, it's sort of what I started on trio.
Yeah.
Electric trio with that guitar. So it's easy.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm just wondering if we didn't have the pandemic, do you think the album would have had more instrumentation on it?
No, we probably would have done the same thing.
Oh, that's
I think
cool.
at this time, Mike Flanagan, our producer, just said, it's time for you to just make a guitar album. That's what your fans really want. I mean, people like it. I haven't done one. I haven't really done one in decades, probably.
Did both albums kind of back to back because he put one out too, right?
Yeah, he put his out. Mike Flanagan put out West Texas Blues, and that's
right. And you're on it, so it's
and that was the same way we recorded in the same studio, same instrumentation.
Cool. Yeah, because he plays with I guess when Billy's not doing ZZ Top, he's got his own thing, and Mike plays on that, right?
Yeah, he plays with Billy and Jimmy. He's in the Jimmy Vaughn band.
Yeah. So. Yeah, cool. So, Sue, let's go back a little bit at the beginning. I know you've told the story a million times, but, probably some of my listeners haven't heard it. So, I'll fast forward a little bit because I know you're a little pressed for time. Grew up in Ottawa, big family. They give you music everywhere. Get the guitar in your hand, through to Vancouver, playing a bunch of shows in the U.S., and Clifford Antone discovers you, you send him a tape, and he just takes you in like you're his prodigy, and you're down to Austin at 2021, and he puts you in the house band of Antone's. That's incredible. I mean, you were in the mecca of the blues in the hottest bar there was in Austin. What can you share with us about that experience?
Yeah, it was very much like sort of an Alice in Wonderland kind of vibe. I mean, it felt completely unreal and completely real at the same time, if you can imagine that. But it was where I wanted to go more than anywhere because I was infatuated with Texas blues, and the sound coming out of here, coming out of Austin specifically at that time, was going all worldwide. Everybody was aware of it, like you said, right? It was on the map. So I had sort of put it in my head and heart that I really wanted to go there, and I think just all the circumstances lined up. I wanted it.
It's just incredible. Can you drop a few names? I've heard you drop them before, but drop a few names for the people the people that you backed up. I mean, you're talking the greats, some of my favorites, like Johnny Winter. I know you played with him, but just tell us a few of the big highlights from Antone's.
Well, one of the biggest highlights was my first weekend there. I just got to town, and that weekend Albert Collins was there. And when Albert Collins played at that time, every place was jam-packed. You could not get a peanut in that club.
Wow.
Anywhere where Albert Collins played. He put on such a great show, and he was so popular. But I got, after hours, Clifford Antone would have everybody hang out. He taught me how to shoot dice that night, and I got up on stage with Albert Collins. That was the first weekend I was there. And so I was like, okay, I don't know how to top this, but, and then we toured with Buddy Guy and Johnny Winter and George Thorogood and Lonnie Brooks and Coco Taylor, and pretty much we were the opening band on the road where we would they'd throw us out to the Sharks basically every night as the young openers. And then at the club, we played with Earl King, Jimmy Rogers, Hubert Sumlin, Angela Straley, Luann, Kim Wilson, Pine Top. God, everybody that came through.
And this is like you're 21, right?
Yeah, I was 21, 22.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, so you must have had the it factor really quick in learning. I know you were gigging around in Canada for a couple of years, so you put your time in. But I mean, listen, you had to be top notch to be able to be put in the house band to back up all these legends. I mean, but okay, this might sound a little weird, but it must have been a lot of stress on you. I'm guessing because you're young. you're white, you're female. You must have been judged like instantly by these guys, because these guys probably then were all in their like 50s, and they're like, what? You know, so you must have had, did you feel this pressure to prove yourself?
No, actually I didn't. I felt supported. And it's funny because when you say all those things, those criteria, I was young, I was white, I was Canadian, I was female.
Yeah, Canadian, left that one out.
You think, yeah, that's a big one. But no, everybody in that level of playing is just like, can you play or can you not? And that was it. They didn't care if you were female, they didn't care if you were blind, you could see, you were white, you were black, you were Chinese. It didn't matter. If you could play, you belonged on that stage. If you could hold your own, if Clifford said you could hold your own, chances are you could.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Well, he knew. He wouldn't have put you on that stage with all those people if you couldn't cut it.
He didn't care that I was a young girl. He wasn't trying to do anything. He liked the way I sounded. And all the musicians, it wasn't like a cutthroat, hey, little girl, get out of town kind of thing. It was the opposite.
Excellent. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome, because that's how music is supposed to be. It's not really about all this other stuff.
Way back when, like when you were there and you know, doing backup, did you get time on the mic? Were you singing too?
Yeah, I mean, my band, they put my band up there and play all the time, you know. That's
the other thing. Like, you're not just a guitar player. Like, you have this tonality to your voice. Like, okay, this might sound a little strange too, but this is a huge compliment. And I listen to your voice. Sometimes I think I'm listening to like a 78 RPM album. Like, it's got like this authentic kind of aged sound to it. It's really unique, and it really fits the blues. So that, I think, you know, you had your guitar playing, but your voice too must have also like taken people back, you know, like, holy cow.
Yeah, it was the whole package, I guess.
Yeah.
Just kind of, you know.
You started a while ago, but you've been assembling like hundreds of interviews with female musicians with the goal of someday putting a book together. Mm-hmm. And I was wondering, because I've had some kind of like takeaways from, you know, doing all these interviews. What is kind of like one of the big lesson, the big it factor, the big takeaway that you've personally got from interviewing all these people?
Well, I was interviewing women guitar players, so specifically of every genre, and I've done about 100 interviews, and I am putting the book together. That'll be next time we talk. We'll talk all about that, but because there's a lot to talk about there. It's pretty dense.
Yeah, okay, it's a big question. Yeah,
it is a big question, and that's in fact, I can't really even answer that question that you just asked, because that was almost an overarching question to the whole thing, right? Is there something here? Is there one thing here that I can define? Well, what the one thing was the instrument and the gender, basically a woman playing guitar. But the experiential things were all pretty different, depending on different people and their different cultures. And it's
going to be a hell of a book when you get it together.
Yeah. It's just a little passion project I started. I started it 20 years ago, so
it'll be an overnight success.
Exactly.
During this break, when you raised your son, who's, by the way, is an incredible guitar player. You know, well, you know that. You play with him. Like,
he's also on my YouTube channel. So
yeah, is he a full-time musician, or is he going a different path?
No, he's in finance. He's a young guy in finance in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Wow, the hedge fund world. Yeah, Greenwich.
It's pretty deep. Yeah.
Well, I did it for a number of years too. So yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay, good.
Yeah. But he's a great player. I mean, you got to be damn proud of that kid.
Yes.
Or man, he's not a kid anymore. Yeah, well, anyway, but when you took this break from Austin back and forth, you did some teaching. You got a master's degree, which is crazy, and you're working on you're a PhD student.
I am.
Yeah, nobody would think that. That's not very bluesy.
That's not bluesy, is it?
But is the research from all those interviews, is that the basis of the PhD?
It wasn't tied to the interviews. I'd actually done the interviews before I went into school, but it was the impetus that I realized how much I liked research. And then when I got into postgraduate, education, I realized that research it's all research based. I love research. Yeah. Most musicians do. We're just natural. Yeah. We're really natural musicologists because we're always looking at everything about music. So I found it pretty simpatico with everything else I do. So
good for you. Wow. That's you're so impressive.
Aw, thanks.
Yeah. PhD, blues master, incredible singer. So do you find yourself to be an inspiration to, people like Joanne Shaw Taylor, Samantha Fish, Carolyn Wonderland, Larkin Poe, Samantha? Rebecca. Rebecca's the guitar player, and Larkin Poe. I mean, do you see yourself as an inspiration to?
I have no idea. I have no idea who they listen to, but I think all those names are names that have come since. I've definitely, let's put it this way. I've studied the sort of trajectory of women in guitar and popular music and non-popular musical forms. And these are the new faces. So let's say there is a trajectory. I'm just part of that line,
Yeah. Be good. Well, if I ever get a chance to talk to them, I'll ask.
Yeah. Great. They're all great. And, it's great. And it's just great that it's becoming a really non-issue. But when I was coming up, you could name on two hands all the women guitar players you knew. And so now it's just like out of control.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's growing. Guitar, there was that silly article that guitar is dead. No, it's growing. It's growing. And that whole, the females are getting, excelling at it like crazy, and that's just a huge market that's blowing up guitar. So
yes, it is.
The world of guitar is healthy and good. So let's talk about that. Your Paisley, your Pinky. In '85, they came out with the reissue, and you got that a few years after, right?
I got that in probably '88 in Vancouver, and she's just road work. She's.
Can you pick it up for us and just bring it closer to the camera?
So, I'm also going to put out another video where I think we look at Pinky a little closer. But she's.
Oh yeah.
She's pretty big. This stuff is like a wallpaper, and it chips off, and then you can see how much the wood has been rubbed here. But that's what happens to a Paisley when you wear it out. Still sounds great.
Was the tone knob kind of a thing of Muddy Waters, sort of a thing that you did there?
No, that was just somebody stuck that on, and it never
came off. James Burton made the first one famous, playing with Elvis. He had the 68. And then I guess it had Brad Paisley kind of brought back the whole idea too, because his is he's got an original 68 and his last name is Paisley, so he kind of had no choice. But that's the one that you recorded. All your recordings are that.
Yes, that's on all my albums, and especially featured on this new album, of course.
Yeah, just kills that in the bass band. Woo! But and it's just stock pickups, right? Just whatever was in there before.
I've had it refretted a couple times. I use 1046s.
Wow.
Pretty straightforward.
And then the nylon guitar, the classical guitar.
This is mostly around the house. I do use this on some gigs. I've got 3 nylon strings right now.
Oh, okay.
This is Francisco Navarro Garcia. This is a student model flamenco. It's pretty good on stage. And I got a couple more, but I do love the nylon string a lot. So
yeah, and I've noticed when you play that, you'll when you're doing leads, sometimes you'll just go back and forth with your index in the middle, like a classical player would almost.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of right hand stuff going on.
Where'd you pick that up from?
I took some flamenco lessons at one point and learned some of the right hand sort of classical and flamenco techniques. So I was sort of infatuated with right hand guitar.
So was that before or after interviewing Charo?
That was before.
Yeah. That's right, because the Charo interview was just recent. Yeah. So that's cool. Yeah, I heard that you interviewed her, and like internationally speaking, she's a well-respected musician, and then but her fame came from Chi Chi Cha Cha or whatever her expression was.
Coochie coochie.
Coochie coochie. Excellent. Well, I know you're really busy and you've got a lot of PR kind of stuff to do. I got to thank you for spending a little bit of time with me, and I'm thrilled that I can put a video together, and wishing you the best. It's a killer release, and like you said, it shouldn't be a problem playing this thing live.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll keep up in Canada soon.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, like it's finally you can come back home. I'm sure you got family up here too, right?
A lot, yeah, a lot of family.
So that'll be fun. So thanks a ton, and hope to see you live when you're in Toronto.
Yeah, thanks. We'll see you soon.
All right, take care.
Yeah.